fellow Americans. It's nice to see you all yet again.
I think this year we're going to have a team that's built to throw the ball deep. I mean, Coach Reed's been preaching it all offseason. We're going to get back to throwing the deep ball. I want to make sure we can get him that lead so he can really show off that entire defensive game plan that he has.
What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of The Kingdom Says. We are back in action to kick off officially the 2024 Chiefs season here. Joining me, as always, we've got the two usual co-hosts, Kyle Henning on the top right of the screen. How we doing tonight, Kyle?
Doing all right. Ready to talk to you fellas after kind of a hiatus for all of us. We all took some time, did some things, had some stuff happen, did some more things, took some more time. Now we're here because we all have an off season, kind of like the team does.
Exactly. And then joining us, of course, Mr. Arrowhead Tom at the bottom of the screen. How we doing tonight, Tom?
Hey, I'm doing great. Got a new setup. Finally got the camera settings tinkered with, so I don't look like I'm tomato. There's a safety in the 2025 draft class who's the best safety I've seen in college football since Eric Berry. I'm going to get that in now because otherwise you're going to let me talk about it. Malachi Starks from Georgia. All right, moving on. I'm doing great. It's good to be back.
He's from Georgia?
From Georgia.
Right.
Josh is happy.
Oh, yeah, Josh is real happy. Shout out. So, excited to be back. I'm sure we'll talk more about it maybe at the end, or if you want to talk about it now. Discord is almost up and ready, so look for the links for that on our socials. And
then you can drown in Tom draft talk.
I know, we got
year-round draft talk right in there.
Listen, you can ask me questions year-round. We can watch stuff together. We'll geek out.
Any time of the day, any night, any day.
Terrifying, by the way. But
pretty much, yeah.
Resourceful and important. Also,
crazy people.
Yeah, I have power. They can't take it away. So
they can't.
They can't
do nothing about it. Yep.
Be on the lookout for the Discord and all the other changes that are coming. Like I said, new camera did some updates. We've been working behind the scenes, so I'm excited to jump back in, guys. Genuinely am just super pumped to be here.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We've got a lot of good stuff in plan for this 2024 season. It's kind of weird to say because we're already 6 months into 2024 and we already had the draft and all that stuff. But this is when the season really starts. The Chiefs have been doing OTAs the past couple weeks. There's been a little bit of Chiefs news here and there, a lot of off-field stuff. But we finally have a lot of the guys back in the building, which is good to see. OTAs and all that stuff before training camp kicks off in about a month or so. But
mini camp's like next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I forget how the whole schedule, the whole off-season schedule kind of goes for those guys. It's always changing, ever evolving, just like we are, always changing, always evolving. We've got Discord coming up for you guys soon. We got merch on the way. We've got all different types of content that we're preparing this season.
Sponsors? So, what? Question? Things?
Dang.
Things for you guys to maybe get stuff? Who knows? Let's see.
Yeah, lots of opportunities.
So this is definitely going to be a very fun
more contests,
season.
But who knows?
More contests, more people, more fun. Just more fun here at the Kingdom Says. We're all about having fun and celebrating what is the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty, which we are here in the middle of. It's always good to remind people that we are still in the middle of said dynasty.
That's official now. Officially a dynasty.
In the dynasty.
Yeah. I think actually this month is when they get their Super Bowl rings, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Super Bowl ring should be coming
right around
the
end of this month, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
it's usually right around the 4th of July, if I remember right.
I think it was Clyde who posted about something about how he has all these things that are happening this month. One of them being the new ring. Also, I think he's getting married to his girl this month,
nice.
Potentially.
Congrats, Clyde. And
so it's going to be a big year for everybody,
Those are good things to be doing with your off season.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff happening this offseason, has there?
As long as it's not illegal, we're good.
Yeah,
that's true. We got it. Yep.
I don't care what you do as long as it's not what, Tom?
Yeah. Illegal.
Well, illegal stuff is bad.
I take that back because
I won't go that far, but pretty much, yeah.
As long as it's not illegal or bigoted, full of hatred. Discriminatory.
If it's legal in some jurisdictions, you're all right. In some jurisdictions, some of that stuff is legal, and in some of the jurisdictions, there's not. So
just and that's it. Just don't break the law.
Just don't break the law.
it's a minor thing. Just to be clear, we're talking about the couple players that were arrested for marijuana possession on the Kansas side. It's legal in Missouri, not legal in
on the Missouri side.
You just got to know your surroundings better, right? And it's
Yep.
And I will say Kansas is unnecessarily hard on marijuana possession, especially the county they were arrested in.
County.
So don't it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
It is
at the
year
same time
2024, and we are talking about weed, kids.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not saying I agree with any of it. I'm just saying, know your surroundings, know your rules.
That's true.
Because you have a lot to
and then also all the illegal stuff, the very harmless illegal stuff. That's fine. That's fine.
If you want to make stupid Instagram videos, Xavier Worthy, go ahead. I could.
Throw up the ones, bro. Throw up the ones. That's all right. That's all right. That's fun. People are just having fun, That's what we're all about. Like I just said, would I not say that?
And he
not
signed
to say we're about
now.
fun.
I guess that's news we could talk about.
That's
he
pretty
signed
news.
His contract.
Yeah.
So I think now he can throw up more than those. I believe it was
$43.
It was just ones. Well, that was the whole point of the song.
In one.
That's the thing. That's the whole point of the song, guys. It says throw up the ones. It's not throwing up hundreds. That's the whole point.
I know. It was just the fact there was only 40 of them was the problem. I think.
Well, how many ones? Somebody
stop at McDonald's on the way back from the bank.
Listen, I've spent more on a burger.
No, I just want to know where the other 7 ones are, because he didn't go to the bank and get 43 ones, Garrett.
They just have,
he
might have had 27 and she might have had 11,
Those were fresh. A couple of them stuck together on the way out. Those were new from the bank. Where did the other 7 go?
This is the content that everybody missed. The analytics of $43 and
TikTok
how it is dispersed when somebody is making it rain.
I still say if that's
exclusive
what
analysis
do in his
will only get here on the
time,
Kingdom Says podcast.
I will ship him the freaking money guns from the KU Snoop Dogg.
Money guns are cool. Money guns are cool. That's not an old trend yet. That's always good to pull out every once in a while. Bring out the money guns. The money gun. You never seen the money gun?
You remember when KU and Snoop Dogg had the nice young ladies and the money guns at what do they call that Midnight Madness thing at the Fog?
All about that, Tom. Come on. I know you know about that.
Sure. I know what that is.
That was part of the Reebok. That was part of the Adidas investigation, sir.
The Adidas investigation. Tom, of course. Tom.
I know all about these things.
I might or might not know.
Bro's sponsored Adidas athlete, Tom. You didn't know that? Come on.
Yeah, Adidas. If you're looking for somebody to sponsor,
I don't know if you know this or not.
Podcast before, but we're open to working with you.
Of this team.
I bet you we could expand your market by one person.
Me and Tom are both wearing Nike right now, so you're actually outnumbered. So
that's cool. Hey, who's the quarterback?
Yo Nike. What I just said about Adidas.
Who is Patrick Mahomes sponsored by?
Listen, what Patrick Mahomes needs to do is sponsor us with his new coffee brand. That's what he needs to do. He needs to sponsor.
Y'all remember when
Sports Coffee?
You guys remember we had a franchise quarterback sponsored by New Balance? I remember.
No.
The next time somebody calls me a bandwagon fan, I'm like, no. I lived through those Matt Castle.
Oh God,
New
Balance
commercials. Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a New Balance athlete now. It's cool again. It's something.
It was not. First of all, it would have to have been cool in the first place.
Correct, and I still don't know that
cool
again is an
though.
optional sentence.
Come
there.
on.
No, it's not.
On your shoes.
So now that we've covered all of the endorsements and most of the contract talk, should we do the other contract talk that happened?
Other contract talk. Yeah.
I mean,
there happens
Mecole
to be
Hardman is
one
the chief again.
Yeah. Mecole Hardman once again is a Kansas City Chief for the
Super Bowl hero.
Super Bowl hero. Yeah, Mecole Hardman back for his. This is technically still part of the second stint, I guess, if you consider
Three-time Super Bowl champion.
Well, yes, I think
one
stint,
touchdown clinching, game-winning touchdown Super Bowl champion.
This is technically his third go-round.
But I don't see it. I think it's because he wasn't on another team. It was the second stint when he went.
They just didn't re-sign him as quick.
This is still part of the extended second stint. It was just a little.
That's fair.
Third
Mecole Hardman,
second stint.
Mecole Hardman back in Kansas City to bolster that wide receiver room. Obviously, a very stacked wide receiver room at this moment. Obviously, a Rashee Rice suspension looming potentially.
Oh,
probably.
You weren't joking? No, I'm kidding.
It's stacked.
I'm kidding.
I would say a very competitive, crowded wide receiver room.
It is a very crowded. Hey,
It has a floor, which is nice.
I was gonna say something, but Kyle would get mad. I mean, yeah.
It has a floor, which it didn't last year. Last year, it didn't have a floor. It had a bunch of question marks. This year,
it's funny. Last year, the conversation was though that we had a pretty stacked wide receiver room. That was a conversation in the off season for a little while.
You guys remember when MBS was going to have his first 1,000-yard season? I remember.
It was his time. That was his time. But now it's real. Now it's real life because we have future Hall of Famer Xavier Worthy on the team. So
they also have the other guy that actually I think makes a big difference in this offense, which we probably talked about, which is Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
I know that Rashee Rice is going to be suspended. We all know that. We've already talked about that previously. That's all been discussed. The Mecole thing always made sense. I have said that since the second that the Rashee Rice thing happened. I believe that was my second thing in the group chat after. Well, I'm glad everybody's okay. Also, Mecole will be back. It makes sense for both parties. They knew they had him available. I've seen conversations about people like, well, they gave some guys a shot at OTAs. They were always giving guys a shot at OTAs. He's a veteran. He does not need to be there. He has no interest in being at OTAs. He does not want to participate in OTAs. Do you know why? Because they are optional. And that's the whole point. So why sign a contract if you know where you're going and you know basically what the number is? Why do anything until you need to be there?
That's very true.
So I'm not really surprised by the timeline of this either. It makes sense. I think we just talked about a little bit. Minicamp is coming up, I think, next week. It's within the next 10 days, I'm pretty sure. It's because it's going to get hot, so they're going to take a month off, and then they're going to come in and go to St. Joe and get real nasty.
Yeah, it'll be real hot. Yeah, it'll be real hot in St. Joe.
Yeah, and then preseason. So, but I'm not surprised at all by the timing of when Mecole signed. Like I said, I was pretty much a given, unless they went out and did something crazy and added an additional wide receiver before they signed him, then I would have had some pause and thought.
Yeah.
But
and also the fact that Mecole remained unsigned for so long that no other team maybe other teams offered him, but he's probably just holding out for this offer. But obviously no other team made a big swooping offer to really sway him and not be like,
also you're going to have to sway him because remember what he said after he left and came back from the Jets?
He said a lot of things about the Jets. Yeah.
Well, when he was he said, yeah, money's nice, and everybody thinks the grass is greener, but sometimes that grass is not greener.
No.
And I was like, that told me lots of things right there.
Yeah.
First of all, the Jets literally were wearing green, and this man was like, no, dog. No.
It's, sometimes going to an AFC East team isn't always the best option.
So
turns out.
It kind of spoke to me that, like, Mecole was going to be one of those dudes where, like, no, I'm going to hang out in Kansas City because, A, those millions that I make go a little farther there because it's not that expensive to live there.
Yeah.
B, Patrick is pretty much a Super Bowl at least every 2 years at this point.
Pretty much.
So, like, we're good. And I already got 3 of them things. They're gonna pay me I'm the friendly veteran discount because they can do that with some of those exemption contracty things. I would be curious to see if this isn't one of those.
Still don't have the contract details of it yet. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
As we're recording this, which Mecole just signed today as we're recording this. So,
which we'll get some more news that happened today, which was a little scarier. But with the Mecole stuff, it just made sense, and also I expect it to be not necessarily a cap drain, but friendly enough for Mecole to have some change in his pocket, and he's not playing for free. So, he's fit. He knows the offense. Gives you your floor. He's the last guy on the floor. So Justin Watson is going to be like wide receiver 5 or 6. he's basically whatever that last piece is. You've got that with the other guys where she's going to be suspended for a little bit, and then whatever you decide to do with Kadarius and Sky Moore. Also of note, one of those individuals was not at OTAs and is signed to a contract. So, just something else to keep in mind.
Was it Sky?
It's Kadarius.
Yeah.
KT was not at least to anything I saw reported to anything else that was discussed. Yeah. He was not at OTAs.
Yeah, and before it would have cost some money. It still would cost some money to move on from him.
It's the same, isn't it? It's $2 million and $2 million, isn't it? He's the same as.
I think it's a small. I think it's a small cap hit if they move on from him, which they could do. Like, I think that's as much as they've talked him up. Like, I was this time last year. I was all aboard the Kadarius Toney train. I was rooting hard.
We all were. This was before he tore whatever he did before training camp started.
I'm about to say because that was this time talking about like that. And then
I can handle a player who deals with injuries, right? But you got to be hungry. You got to want it, right? That's the championship.
You got to not let Instagram videos get out of whatever that was.
Yeah, you got to. It's usually not a good feeling when you're a healthy scratch. So, I'll give you an example. Last year, when Clyde was or 2 years ago, when Clyde was a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl, and he was kind of, and he was on the outs, right? You didn't hear him complain. You didn't hear him go to the media. All you did was you saw him work. And Clyde has dealt with injuries in his career too.
Go to a fashion show instead of the ring ceremony, and everybody's fit.
I think it was a prior obligation, and I would have liked him to be there. But okay, cool. It's the off season. You spend your time doing what you want to do.
He probably needed that time away so he could finish doing his mental reset to come back in because what you're getting ready to talk about. That's would be my take. But go ahead.
Yeah. And then he came back in and he was a contributor, especially down the stretch. Like he looked as best as he could because he put in the work. He kept his head down. And when you're in that position as an NFL player, that's what you do. And I don't know. It's not. This is not that. I'm not trying to sound like the old man yelling at the clouds or anything like that. But there is a dynamic here. And I go back to the Move the Sticks podcast, Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah. And Daniel Jeremiah talked about this leading up to the draft. And this was not directly related to the Chiefs, but he talked about it as something that he learned from Andy Reid in Philadelphia, which is you have energy givers and energy vampires in your locker room, right? And you could sometimes balance it out if you've got a couple vampires and enough energy givers. But if you get too many vampires, or if you get a vampire who's too big and just, sucks the energy out of the room, it doesn't work. And so it kind of comes down to, what are you going to be on this team? Are you going to be a vampire or are you going to be a giver? And if you're going to be a vampire, you're not going to be here for very long, especially if you can't be on the field. So that's my tangent. I hope he turns around. I would love to have seen him at OTAs. Maybe he's doing some, specialized recovery or whatever. Doing something, but it's not a great look from the outside.
I don't know that he's a vampire because he's been invited and attended other things in the off season. I will say he's more of an energy absorber and dampener more than as Tom.
I call him a couch potato. I call him couch potato.
I'll say this off season stuff. But when you're doing all that stuff in the playoffs, the Instagram videos, all that stuff,
that's when it gets. It's also very telling that the Chiefs still obviously felt the need to sign Mecole Hardman and still add to that receiver room. Obviously, not having probably 100% faith in that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the Kadarius Toney situation. Also, one thing that really was weird to me this offseason, he bought a new car locally somewhere, and the car dealership posted about it, and they called him. They referred to him as professional rapper Joka, also known as Kadarius Toney, wide receiver of the Chiefs, or something like that. And I was just like, what are we doing here? What do you mean?
Which one? Yeah, which one are we?
What do you mean professional rapper is your first title? What do we mean here? So very interesting situation. Obviously, Mecole Hardman back in the building. It's the one thing, Mecole is very well liked on the team. He's like actually in Mahomes' like inner circle of friends, basically, like him and his
doesn't
girl and all
crazy,
that.
Doesn't go out and be nuts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, him and his girl are really good. They got along well. Taylor and Kelsey and all of them last season. That was a whole thing.
Kiddo, I believe.
They did, yeah. Recently, they just had. I think last year they had a kid or something. So, shout out to them. The one thing that pisses me off, and I'm just gonna say this here on the record, one thing that just pisses me off about this signing, Mecole Hardman, he's gonna be on his third number because when he came back last year, 17 was taken, so he had to go to 12. And now this year, the Chiefs draft 2 guys and give away both of his numbers. Kamal Haddon's wearing 17. Jared Wiley's wearing number 12. So Mecole's gonna be on his third freaking number, and it's just gonna look so stupid, and I just hate it. And I think he needs to spend whatever
to get one of those numbers.
Whatever signing bonus he gets from this contract, he just needs to give it to Kamal Haddon and be like, give me my number back and make it that. Or here's the thing. So Jared Wiley is wearing number 12. He wore 19 in college. If 19 happens to become available rather quickly, like we were just talking about, then maybe he can move to there. Mecole can at least have 12, so he's only worn 2 numbers, which would piss me off less. But
And then we're all going to watch Garrett. We have a whole special episode when it's revealed that Mecole Hardman's wearing number 0 for the season, and Garrett
0 won't be too bad. I mean, the Chiefs haven't given anyone 0 yet, so I don't know if they even are even on board with that.
Yeah, it feels like one of those Andy Reid things.
My vote personally is just give him number like 47, some horrendous, and yeah. That's my thought about it. But I just hate that he's going to have to wear a third number. Why did they not have the wherewithal to be like, hey, Kamal Haddon, we're actually going to save this number 17. You got to pick another rookie number, come on, what are we doing here? They need to do the Shady McCoy treatment where they just strip Darwin Thompson of his number 25, give it to Shady. They need to do that same thing to Mecole here. Just take Kamal. Appreciate you having on the team, but you're not your number anymore. Here you go, Mecole. Yeah. And then I'll hate it less, because if I have to watch a whole nother season of Mecole Hardman and he's in a third different number, that's really gonna grind my gears. That's really gonna grind my gears. I tell you what. So
I am rooting for it just to see your meltdown. The epic.
What did Carson Wentz choose?
He chose 11. He's in 11.
Darn, because I was like,
what numbers does he even have? What did he pick? What do we have? It's got to be something in the 80s, right?
It's 80s.
It's like 0, it's 80s.
Do we have a 1? Yeah, wait, no.
4.
Xavier Worthy, the future Hall of Famer.
Who's wearing 4? 2? Is 4 available? 4 is not available.
2 is
4 is Rasheed Rice.
2 is Josh Williams. 3 is retired. 4 is Rasheed. 5 is Hollywood. 6 is Brian Cook. 7 is Harrison. 8 is Justin Ross, technically.
Yeah.
9 is LRZ, Louis Rees-Zammit. So yeah, there's not many numbers left. He's gonna have to wear like 86 or something stupid this year.
Pacheco is 10.
Actually, 86 is retired too. It'd be like 80. Give him like 80. Just give him 80.
Do we have 11? Did Wentz take 11? We said
Wentz is 11. Yep, Wentz is 11.
And 12 is taken. 13.
13 Najee Johnson.
That's right.
14 is like.
Maybe 14.
I just hate it. I would hate it. I just give him one of his other numbers back. Give him 17. All right. That's our
future number 14, Mecole Hardman.
I'm pretty sure 14 is taken too. I forget by who. Yeah. 14. I don't know. I can look up the roster right now. Hold on.
I find it. What are we gonna do? But if you take 17 from Haddon, I guess what is he gonna wear? 14.
I don't know, like 27 or something. Who cares?
27 is Shamari Connor.
27 is taken. Give him like 47.
I care about Shamari Connor. That dude played his heart out in the playoffs. We don't.
He's a dog. You're right.
Okay, so while Garrett is looking that up, we will talk about some other not so great news.
14 is Cornell Powell. Okay, he can wear 14. Cornell Powell's not making the team. Come on, what are we doing?
All right, moving on because we are 23 minutes in and we are off our rocker a little bit. That's all right.
Yeah. So on to other news. Harrison Butker, welcome back to KC. Buy your old number back. Couple other things on the
Mecole Hardman.
Mecole Hardman.
Did I say? No,
you said Harrison Butker. Oh, you can pick more different.
I was like, what?
Damn,
I'm sure that is the only time in history those two have ever been mixed up.
It's because I probably read the.
I'm confident.
Well, I probably read.
I don't think you have to bet very hard. I don't think anybody's taking that bet, Tom. I'm pretty damn.
I don't think anyone's ever went. Oh, hey, Harrison. I mean Mecole.
Yeah, very different. Yeah, that's crazy. I said that. It's probably because I read this.
I wonder what gives away
one of the next bullet points.
Tom, the chain.
Yeah, this is one of the next bullet points on my screen over here. It mentions Harrison Butker, so I just saw Butker. I looked at it. That's how it happened.
That's fair enough.
Okay.
Fair. That was incredible.
Okay.
What I was trying to say before now we've had the nice moment of levity right before I lead into this very slightly scary moment. BJ Thompson apparently reportedly had a seizure that led to cardiac arrest in the meeting room today at the facility. First reported by Tom Pelissaro, I think, NFL Network reporter. They canceled today's activities this afternoon after what happened with BJ in the meeting room. He was not immediately named. It came out later. It was him. He is stable, which is good news. He's at the hospital. Obviously, I don't know if he's still at the hospital now, but he was at the hospital and in a stable condition. So that's good news. We're happy about that. Hopefully they figure out what caused it, why, those kind of things.
Yep.
Because that's scary stuff. So thinking of BJ and family and everybody and the team at this time, really scary stuff. But now that he's good and in stable condition, that's good news, and we'll go forward from there. All that said, we don't want to dwell too much on that. The offseason has been extremely busy. The guys have been out of the house a bunch. We've talked about a bunch of it and a bunch of the contract details and stuff now. How about the fun stuff?
Yeah, there has been some fun stuff.
On a positive note with the BJ stuff, real quick.
Sure.
One, we mentioned that the name and stuff immediately didn't come out, and I really appreciate the local, because I think some of our local guys had it first, Nate Taylor and some of those others. I appreciate that because this is a human that we're talking about, and this is a serious medical event, and I'm sure his family has, notifications on, and his friends, and even, alerts when BJ Thompson is named, allowing them the time to communicate and, for him to talk about people, especially, that's a serious, like I said, cardiac arrest is a serious issue, right? I mean, a seizure, all of it. Yeah. And then secondly, just obviously shining a light on the athletic training staff and the medical personnel who are there, who are always there. We remember these people in these moments that, are these catastrophic emergencies, but they really are, awesome professionals. And if you're not familiar with the world of athletic training, they have to dabble in a lot of things, and they have to be able to perform under some of the most intense pressure at all levels. I was the athletic director at a high school, and I vividly remember, a pretty scary injury to a young man during a basketball game, and the entire room freezes, except for our athletic trainer who's running to the court, and you could just hear her, talking and taking care. Like, they are, what they do, in between taping ankles and all that other stuff is so incredible. So, and the Chiefs have a great staff. So hats off to them. Just want to, heap as much praise on them as we can, because Burkholder, the head trainer, really does advocate a lot for training of athletic directors at every level. And so, in some ways it's a scary thing for BJ Thompson, but also, and outside of having this episode happen in a hospital, there's maybe not many other places that would have been better for this to happen in terms of, care immediately available to him. So again, hats off to that staff. And just, the way the team handled it, the way the media handled it was really, I think, as appropriate and professional as you can in that type of situation.
Yeah. The Chiefs ended up canceling practice today, moving that OTA practice tomorrow in wake of that. And also at Justin Reed's charity softball game, which happened tonight or this afternoon. They had a moment of silence and a moment of prayer for him, the Chiefs team chaplain there. He's in stable condition, which is very good. That is definitely very good to hear. But definitely a serious situation.
I'm glad they went ahead and did the softball game for the team as well, because it's something to distract them from sitting there just thinking about him and focusing on that. And so that's good for them as well, and good. And I'm sure he wanted them to continue on with it as well. So, like we said, man, it's scary stuff. But as Tom mentioned, good too. Couldn't probably have happened in a much better place. If you're gonna have stuff like that go on with a team like that around, that's what the athletic training staff's trained for. So And that's what they train for when they're not training the multi-million-dollar athletes at that level, and not just the high school levels and other stuff where they're doing that too. So
a lot that goes into
shout out to them.
Yeah,
the fun stuff. I'm glad that you mentioned the charity softball game. That was MVS's charity softball game at one point.
It was, yeah.
It transitioned into Justin Reed's.
Yeah, once Justin Reed,
game.
I think they made like a collab thing, and then they're just like, all right, Justin Reed. I think actually Trey Smith has his name on it too
Trey
now as well.
now, which is cool. I liked seeing Trey get his name on some things and get more involved. Yeah. He's awesome.
I wonder who's going to take over when Trey and Justin are gone.
Jesus Christ!
It's pass the torch. This will be.
Why you gotta do that? Because yes, both.
Just thinking about the off season. Just thinking about the off season.
I mean, one day though, right? One day, pass it on to Pacheco and Trent McDuffie or something.
I do want to. The reason that Justin Reed jumps to mind, and I want to mention, he's going to be back in Germany later this month as part of the ambassador thing that they're doing over there with the Chiefs and all that, and that whole that's their home market thing. I think he's going over there with the Lombardi and with some other stuff to do like a trophy view. I don't know. He's going to go be an ambassador to the game over in cool. Frankfurt and whatnot, which is really cool. It's another cool opportunity for him and that the Chiefs get to do. So can't wait to check that out. I know the Chiefs dropped some content today at some point today. I have not got a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah. Pretty cool little short film. They filmed a lot of this season on like an old film cameras and stuff, and put a little mini movie together celebrating that. It was like a 3-minute thing. Pretty cool little clip. Pretty cool. Very awesome to relive it in that fashion. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out on Chiefs socials. So that was a cool little thing. Just this past week, the Chiefs actually had their visit to the White House, which is becoming a very familiar place to them now, going back to back. That was always fun, always good to see. It's always cool to see like the players in there and like really appreciating like the history and like appreciating the moment that they're in. It's like there's definitely a lot of history in those halls, despite things that might happen nowadays. But it is a very big honor for a team to kind of get to tour that area. And like I said, they're pretty familiar with it now, and so that's really cool. There's some cool videos coming out from that. Joe Biden had him up on the stage, and had some people up there. Kelsey came up, and as you guys actually heard in the intro of this episode, Kelsey had a little moment. He finally got his White House moment to speak. So that was cool. Biden put on a Chiefs helmet and about to run through the wall for somebody. Could be the next fullback. Who knows?
Finally got him in a helmet.
Yeah.
Maybe Travis should run for office.
Yeah, man, it's not to get tased while doing it.
Yeah, so that was a fun trip to watch. A lot of cool content.
Took his passport this time, so he didn't have to worry about the expired driver's license that I'm assuming he still hasn't renewed.
Yep, there you go. That's smart. That's thinking ahead. That's really thinking ahead.
We talked about it on New Heights because they're definitely still doing New Heights. If you guys somehow aren't watching that at this point, I don't know what you're doing, but that's 2 hours of free insight whenever you want it, like once a week.
Pretty good. Still pretty good. Yep.
That's fun, man. The White House stuff is really cool that they are like consistent visitors to the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fun thing.
What's up, Joe? Nice to see you again.
Yeah. Also, the fact that like we get to say that the Chiefs went to the White House because, again,
crazy.
Not all that long ago, this franchise went a really long time with not being able to say that. And the last time they won it, I'm pretty sure they weren't taking that trip. So, the first time that they won that, for those of you that don't know.
Back in like 69?
69? I don't know.
It was the summer of 69.
Yes, that's right.
Great time.
Good song, Garrett. It's a song.
Good song. Good time. Yeah. Great time, though, probably.
Wait, hold on, Garrett. Do you know the song?
Oh, God, don't do
this. Yeah. I don't know who it's by, but I know the song.
Okay.
You could have just lived with that. All right, moving on.
I will live with him knowing the song.
At least he knows the song.
Oh, Tom spaced it. Should have just left it.
It's a classic.
It is a classic. You're right. it goes
a little more
like,
out of the house stuff before we get
dun.
into some actual final football talk.
I don't know
before
the
we get
actual
out of
lyrics
here.
besides Summer of '69. Anyways.
They did Big Slick, which,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not familiar with what Big Slick is in Kansas City, it's a gigantic charity event that basically all the really famous people in Kansas City get together and put on. Travis and Patrick, amongst many others, were involved, along with Jason Sudeikis, and pretty much everybody from SNL that was there in some form or fashion. Along with, again, Riggle and Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, and all those guys as well. They raised almost $4 million this year, which
Awesome.
crazy. 3.9, I think, was the total.
That's great. That's
and
awesome.
I don't know if you guys saw the clip of them putting on the game worn jerseys or not. Well, Patrick got his on okay. Travis's was literally had to be stretched down over him, scraped over him, and then peeled back off again.
Yeah, it's the off season. It is the off season.
Well, those jerseys are tight.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think
tight.
people realize how
They're very
tight
tight.
game worn jerseys are on players. They're extremely snug. So, yes, pads go underneath there, but not a whole lot, not very easily. So that they did that. They also were out catching. Patrick was diving up Travis in the stands, for donations for football. They had a big fun with that, which is really good to see. I love that that they're as much of a part of that as they are now. They've always kind of been involved, but now it just seems like they've elevated. Travis looked like, I believe, was part of the roast that they kind of did. It was kind of a roast, kind of a fun SNL skit thing. Jason Sudeikis got him pretty good with the one-liner. There's a couple liner there.
Yeah, Travis is perfect for that type of environment.
Yes, he is.
Pat, on the other hand, I don't know if Patrick's signing up for much of that. Actually, yeah. But
no, probably has heard every Kermit the Frog joke they could throw at him though.
Yeah, a lot of catch-up jokes, a lot of they do get old quick, I think, but it's good time. I don't think we're gonna see any Tom Brady roasts like from him.
I don't think we're gonna see any more Tom Brady roasts anymore either, because Tom wasn't too thrilled with how that went, from what I understand.
I mean, I don't know how anyone would just willingly sign up for a roast like that.
Oh, I would absolutely. It'd be
especially
great.
with his history. I mean, yeah.
Who cares?
There's just so much.
So you know what they're gonna say.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
It's the Eminem song from 8 Mile, except you don't have to get up and say anything until the end. You can let them say everything.
Yeah,
first.
It's a bold play.
You
gotta have a lot of confidence.
I know everything you're about to say against me.
That's true. Yeah, this dude's a gangster. His real name's Clarence. Like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that happened. The Kelsey Jam happened, which was a fun event that the Kelsey boys put on.
For music in Kansas City goes, those are hip hop names I didn't ever think I would see in Kansas City.
It's pretty high profile.
Really honest with you guys. Like, there are certain acts that you just don't get in the Midwest. They just don't come to the Midwest. They just don't.
Always skip it over, or they go to St. Louis. It's like,
and that's 2 years in a row he's put on a pretty incredible lineup of music, and he got to participate this year again in the Duffel Bag song and got to roll out with the Lombardi Travis did. So, and again, Patrick and Travis getting to have more, but they pretty much own that town at this point without much say of any problems. Like, because Patrick actually has ownership in the Royals and a couple of the soccer teams, between Brittany owning one and him owning part of the other one. And then the Chiefs, and then Travis. Yeah. And so, they get to pretty much do whatever.
They stake of ownership in the Broncos and the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then all of their friends now, with all of the other KC elite, so they really have everything at their fingertips. So Kelsey Jam, I love that he's doing something, because he loves music and rap and hip hop and whatnot and all that stuff. So I love that he found something he can just have fun with. It isn't necessarily for something other than just, hey, I want to do something in Kansas City that's fun for Kansas City.
Yeah,
that's I think my favorite part about Kelsey Jam.
It's very cool to see the athletes obviously giving back and really contributing to the city. You don't see that everywhere. You don't see that in every place. So good to see. Good to see. Very fun times. All that. There's probably a couple other things that happened while we were away. A couple other events. There was a lot. There was a lot. You know, there was
so
a lot.
Many things.
It's you know, the boys got to get in their fun before they got to go back to work, which it's about that time. It's about that time they're going back to work. So
again, I wish some of them would do more fun things like inside or out in the woods.
Inside, legal activities.
A couple of them, now that they're back in the building, we need to lock the doors and take away their keys.
Yeah, just
including their car keys.
You ain't even going home. Don't even worry about it.
On the back in the building note, though, shall we talk a little bit now that we've kind of done a, hey, we're back. Hey, let's talk about all fun off-season stuff. Should we talk a little bit of the actual football stuff?
Yeah, actual football stuff is happening on the field. Obviously, it's still, you know, OTAs. You don't get as much action. Obviously, there's no padded practices. There's nothing.
They only have to show the media so much.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's definitely more of just a break-in period, getting guys updated on the game books or whatnot. But there have been some good discussions. One of them being the new kickoff rules that are going in place this season, which has been a very, very big point of discussion the past couple months, because that's, I mean, a very big change to the game. You know, you're completely changing one of these things that has been in the NFL for forever, and now it's a very drastic change. So Dave Tobe had a press conference and basically mentioned that, you know, in the XFL, which is what they're kind of taking this kickoff from, the kicker seems to be involved in a lot of these and a lot of the tackles. You know, I think it was like
40%.
30-40%, something like that, where like the kicker is either making a tackle or is involved with the tackle attempt or whatnot. And so he mentioned that, you know, something like that for Harrison Butker, it might be tough to have him out there because, you know, you have to it's a fine line of having your kicker take tackling drills and getting him well up to speed in that. But also,
not all
it's like,
kickers are Pat McAfee.
Yeah, and you know, there's some times where, I mean, recently in the UFL, destroying the YouTuber kicker, he broke his neck because he went for a tackle on a kickoff return and didn't tackle properly and ended up breaking his neck. So that's a legit concern, especially with a guy like Harrison Butker that you rely on very heavily for field goal kicking.
Any kicker in the league.
Yeah, any kicker, really. I mean, I know Justin Tucker from the Ravens had a press conference where he was talking about it. He was saying that he needs to do more tackling drills or something, but it's like, sometimes, I don't know, the risk for these teams, I think it's
Justin Tucker tackling people? I don't.
Yeah, it's like the risk for these teams, it's definitely pretty exponential to have your kicker out there on kickoffs doing that when you need him.
Well,
Garrett, guys like Harrison Butker,
what do you do?
Justin Tucker, who are one of the best kickers and most accurate kickers in the game. So
what do you do?
Tobe obviously mentioned
Tobe
obviously mentioned a couple other guys who could be in that role. We've seen Justin Reed do a lot of kicking. He was the backup. He's been the backup kicker the past couple years now.
Emergency kicker, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's back in actually week 1 of 2022. Harrison Butker went down, and Justin Reed came in, had a couple field goals and extra points, did some kickoffs, and I mean, it's a legitimate weapon to have a guy out there who's, I mean, it's just essentially another guy out there to tackle. You know, that you can do kickoffs, and you have Justin Reed do that, but then you have another line of defense at the end. So that's definitely a very real possibility that they use either Justin Reed or potentially like Lewis Reese-Zammit, their rugby player that they've signed that they're really high on.
Can kick while running full speed?
Yeah, they.
Crazy.
I mean, the way that they've talked about LRZ, Lewis, I keep on want to say Luis because it's just, you know,
it just sounds
European. You know, I'm just gonna keep it real. It just sounds European. So. But they've definitely talked about using him in the return aspect of this new kickoff. But there's definitely another legitimate chance that they use him in the kickoff aspect as well. Because I mean, he's no slouch to tackling. Obviously, he's very good at kicking. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be something to monitor.
Hey Tom, how many hours of sleep? I don't want to say days because I don't know that he's had more than 2. How many hours of sleep do you think Tobe has had since they announced that rule as official? Because when I looked at him in the press conference, I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under on hours slept. And I don't even know that I have to go average. I legit don't know that man has 48 hours of combined sleep since they legalized that rule. He looked like he had been through it this
And I think he's probably having a lot of fun with it too. I feel like the return game. You have to remember, this is the guy who coached Devin Hester in Chicago, right?
Yep.
He wants those big plays on special teams, but they've been kind of muted because, and it's all for good reason, right? The statistics on the breakdowns for wedge blocks and all stuff on kick returns, it's justified to make the adjustments they made leading up to this. Now it's like a whole new ball game. I'm sure it was like Christmas morning for him. I was just like, ooh, all right, brand new car. Like, let me get the keys and take this thing for a spin. Let's learn all the features. Let's press all the buttons. Let's see if we can drift in it. Like, we're gonna get wild.
You guys remember when I used to sit here and go, they're gonna run the ball out in scenarios that other teams don't. Why? We have Patrick Mahomes. That's why. Because that's why. Because they can. Because you have the ultimate, well, we're on our 3-yard line now. And who cares? Also, you have the special teams coordinator of the last 30 years, roughly, who's been pretty much the best at it forever.
Pretty much.
Like, for a long time now. He's been considered one of the best special teams coordinators in the game, and he's pretty much been considered the best one for quite a while since Harbaugh became a coach.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The head coach. So Dave got to go into an offseason where he got to watch a whole fresh new set of plays because, as he said, he watched every XFL kickoff snap that he could find.
Yep.
And he can find all of them because they're all archived for him. Also,
he's probably watched them all twice.
He's
maybe
the
3
guy.
times.
When the reason that I told you guys that they always were going to return stuff is because he has returns built. He has stuff set up and built up that nobody else has. Tom mentioned Devin Hester. I love Devin Hester. Very, 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 very talented player. Also benefited from some of Dave Tobe's special teams coordinating. The blocking schemes, the setups. Yeah. Now, Devin Hester is great, but there are a couple of them where there's not anybody within 5 yards of Devin Hester from the time he catches it to the time he crosses the goal line. So there's a give and take there. Now, where they basically, I still think you're going to see some teams with the Chiefs go, no, we'll give Patrick the ball at the 30. It's fine.
We'll just start at 30.
It's better than giving it to him at our 30. Because
like we mentioned, like, Tobe is a guy, he loves the big play. I mean, he does love a good big play, and he, it's been very on the record. A lot of his returners recently have come out and said, like, hey, Tobe really encourages you to take it out. If you think you can take it out, do it. Like, that's
why they catch punts inside the 5, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Which
I know we hate it, but that's why they do it.
Yeah, he's confident and he's not afraid to be aggressive, which is very good. So I'm sure he's having a fun time, like we said. Thinking up new strategies for this thing. I think there's going to be a lot of room for potential. Obviously, being so new, you don't really know exactly what to expect. So it's
what I'd like to have on my special teams that nobody's ever seen before. That's on these new kickoff return rules. A guy who can lateral the ball 35 yards across the field on a dead sprint seems like a fun weapon to have at my disposal too.
That would be
because I don't know if you've watched rugby players throw the ball backwards or not while they're running, but they're pretty accurate and good at it. And it can go quite a distance.
Well, also though, we do have to make sure a rugby lateral is very different than an NFL lateral.
I understand that. However, the point is he's extraordinarily used to making decisions and motions like that while moving and doing those things. I know it sounds insane because it should sound insane, but I think that kid's basically a bullet with a roster spot at this point because of what Dave Tobe is going to do.
Oh, most certainly. I mean, I believe it was very evident that he was going to be on the roster when they didn't use the international player exemption on him. Because if they would have used that exemption, they basically he doesn't count towards anything unless he's on the 53. Right. Like the only time he actually would count towards something would be when he was on the 53-man roster. So with them not using that, it's very evident that, like, they probably plan on him making the 53. Even when they signed him, the whole song and dance they did with him, they toured him around the stadium and they gave him the jersey number already. And, it's very evident
running back.
Yeah, it's very obvious that the Chiefs have had very big plans for this guy for a while. And we're going to see most of it, I think, at least the start of it, come from the kickoffs. Maybe they'll add him into the offense a little bit, but probably most of it's going to be kickoffs and stuff, which is good. That's a good place to have them started. Yeah.
especially in a new system and a new setup on kickoffs. I'm curious to see. Have you guys actually looked into what the rule changes are? Did you guys watch much of the XFL? Do you know how they work?
I've seen the whole breakdown of you basically have to land it in a target zone of like from inside the 30 or something like that. But if you go to
basically
touchback,
like
then it's
30 to the goal line is basically
So it's not about having as big of a leg as it's kind of the placement of it all, and then nobody can move until the ball gets caught, and which
or
is very
hits the
strange.
ground or whatever.
Or something like that. It's
because
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun because the past couple of years the kickoff has just been a joke, and like Tom said, rightfully so, because the kickoff has historically been a very dangerous play, but the past couple of years has turned just into a touchback fest. If you're not kicking a touchback, you're not playing smart football, basically, because you're risking too much and you're not really gaining much. So it'll be fun to actually have the kickoff be a play to watch once again. Hopefully it works out well and it lasts a couple more seasons, or they make some good changes to it and it sticks around, because right now it's just a one-time deal.
It's going to make sure. I think it's going to do two things. I think it's going to increase the importance of your special teams play, because you're going to see some stupid stuff happen on these kickoffs, man. There's going to be times where a team ends up with like 2 or 3 return touchdowns in a game, and you're like, how? They found something, and the other team did not know how to stop it, and they just kept giving it up.
And conversely, there's probably going to be a couple teams that really make a mockery of themselves in these returns and
make an absolute mess of things.
Because we've said that we have the best special teams coordinator, and I mean, hey, someone's got to be the worst, and there's definitely going to be a team that does not know exactly what they're doing with this whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see. I think
it's going to do that, but I think it's also that when you talked about the kickoffs being kind of pointless, it was getting to the point where the last 6 or 7 roster spots, you could use them. You used them on special teams guys, but they were more for certain positions and not really for actual special teamers. Now you're gonna have more of those like linebacker hybrid safety guys, fullback, halfback guys
back there.
The natural athlete.
Don't gotta process anything. Don't gotta drop back into coverage or anything. It's just
good athlete. Foosball players, okay?
The guy who's fast and you can tackle. That's all you gotta do. Just a heat-seeking missile.
You're gonna see some more guys like that, and I think that's good for the players themselves, for the Players Association. I think it's good for the rosters. So adding the element is fine. I hope it doesn't come off as gimmicky. I think they've put enough time and there's been enough testing on this that it's actually going to work really well. And now I think legitimately, guys, it's another advantage for Kansas City, which that's
Look at that.
Sorry,
another advantage for us.
Sorry.
But any other thoughts on the kickoff stuff that we haven't covered so far? Because that's pretty much the only football stuff to talk about from that perspective.
That's basically been it. I think that's basically been it. Other than
the rest of it is, hey, they can throw the deep ball again.
Yeah, that's been the conversation, obviously, when bringing back Mecole Hardman. Here we go. We're going all for speed once again. The Legion of Zoom is in full effect once again. And the fun thing about that though is Mecole Hardman was part of the original Legion of Zoom, and then when he left, that's when it officially. I remember when we had the podcast where he had signed, and I wore my Legion of Zoom shirt, and it was the finale of the Legion of Zoom. But now it's back. One of the core founding members is back. We got speed again. We've got 4.21 speed. We've got Hollywood ran like a 4.28 or something crazy. Cole ran a 4.33.
4.25.
Yeah, so we got speed once again. Who needs that big X receiver? Not the Chiefs. Just get more speed. Yeah, just speed. Just give us the speed, not other kind of speed, but speed, like
quickness. You old enough to get that reference? Jesus. Anyway, moving on.
I don't think he got it. He just kept going. Electric.
He made the reference. No, he made the speed reference, sir. You missed the speed reference. Anyway, moving along.
Like the bus.
Oh no, I was going to say Legion of Zoom 2, Electric Boogaloo, featuring Reese Lightning. It all works.
Is that the
put it on a graphic, Garrett?
The sequel name?
Banger.
Was that the sequel name to Speed?
No.
Carry on. We're good.
Moving on. Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I missed it.
Let's go before you hurt my feelings more.
It sounds familiar. I say whatever you just
You
said.
both
this
miss
is familiar.
different things, and it's making me hurt, and that's why this conversation is
Hey,
completely gone at this point.
Listen,
So
this is what we come for the Kingdom Says for. You know, this isn't top tier analysis. This is just good old fashioned. We're having fun. All right, that's what all about 2024 is about to be about. Is fun. Okay. So that being said, anything else? Anything else we need to talk about? I think we basically covered it all. I think we got everything. I think that's basically it. Other than that, OTAs are still just going.
Real off-season post-draft OTA podcast.
Yeah,
I think we've covered
finally have football going again.
Things.
There's a lot of good defensive ends in the 2025.
All right, Nah, we don't need to.
All right, and with that, we will look to wrap this up.
So on that note, thank you all so much for tuning in, following us, watching along, keeping with us through this journey. It's going to be a fun 2024 season once again. So we appreciate you all tuning in and keep following along. Be on the lookout for the Discord coming very soon. We're going to have merch going soon. We're going to have live stuff. We're going to have more fan interaction stuff. Just all kinds of good stuff. We're going to make this season the best one yet for the Kingdom Says.
All kinds of goodies.
Yeah. So be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I guess, is it still appropriate to call it Twitter? I mean,
X, Twitter, who cares?
I changed the logo on our thing. If you guys noticed, underneath Kyle, I changed the logo to the X logo.
Now I don't.
We're getting real official, right?
Also, Garrett, you probably saw it, so you'll look at it later.
Okay.
Back in things on the StreamYard side for us to do. We don't need to talk to the audience about those. So
okay, yeah, I believe you. So with that being said, follow us, Kingdom Says Pod, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check us out on YouTube. Definitely got a lot of fun stuff going on YouTube. That's going to be channel. Yeah, that's what we want to be the main bell of the ball. That's what we want, the main stake.
You're going to get the most out of that because that's going to get you Discord access. It's going to get you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to have other content going on our YouTube this season, so that's going to be fun. Live streams will be on YouTube. Yeah, so go check out our YouTube. It's a pretty good time over there.
That's a good spot to look. Go to the YouTube. You'll find links to all of our other stuff there. You'll find all of them. It's a good
That's
spot.
basically a one-stop shop is YouTube. So just go check out the YouTube first and foremost, and then everything else. But we will not hold you any longer. We will definitely be back next week and every week here going forward. The rest of this off season and the season. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we did it. I think we came back. We're back. So.
We are so back.
We're so back that I'm not even gonna outro this episode. We're just gonna keep going forever. No, we're back, and now we're gone, but we're gonna be back next week. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you all for watching once again, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of The Kingdom Says.